is day 11 of the 21-day yoga challenge. Just 10 more days to go. Today we're going to focus on the back. I'm going to share some modifications of backbends for beginners to get started with, as well as some intense variations for those of you who are regular practitioners. Our back, and particularly our spine, is an extremely important parameter of our well being. And if I were to quote Hippocrates, the father of medicine, he says, "In sickness, first look to the spine for cause of disease." And if you've noticed, the elderly, as they age, then their spine tends to convex this way. This implies deterioration of the spine. Backbend yogasanas are extremely beneficial in maintaining the natural curvature of the spine. And it is said that if the curve of the spine is maintained, then a person can live healthy lifelong. So let's get started with today's practice. Come to standing with a wall behind you, about a feet away from the wall. Raise your hands up and stretch the arms by pulling your wrists upward, elongating the entire trunk. Bend your wrists and drop the palms behind, trying to reach for the wall. Now rest the palms on the wall slightly above the head, and pushing the wall, try to curve your back. Drop the head slightly backward. Readjust yourself, your arms, in order to place the entire palm on the wall. And pushing yourself forward, creating a curve in your back. And now, place your fingertips on the wall and again push the wall, increasing the curvature by sliding the arms down inch by inch. And now you can take your feet about an inch or two backward and again pushing the wall, curving your body, including the glutes and the thighs like a bow. Releasing. Now let me show you this sidewards, standing about a foot away from the wall. This is not as easy as it looks, and it's quite challenging. Make sure your feet are about hip width apart, not together. Drop your wrists back as you bring your hands up towards the wall and pushing the wall with the fingers. Now trying to place the entire palm down onto the wall slowly, bringing the arms gently downward, inch by inch, and pushing the wall with the entire palm. And now use your fingertips to rest on the wall and push the body away from the wall. Bring your feet about a few inches closer to the wall and push the wall, curving the whole body. This does not look like a very deep bend, but when you actually try it, you'll feel the intensity as you hold this posture. Slowly coming out of it. Let's get to doing one more asana as a warm-up before we get into the core back bends. So placing your hands behind on your back, that is on the lower back, the lumbar region. Aim to join the wrists together and the fingers pointing outward and bend back as much as possible. First use the upper back to bend and then the lower back, reaching down as much as possible. And while coming up, always make sure that the chest comes up first and then the head comes up on the shoulder. Keep this in mind in order to avoid dizziness. Now let me show you this from the back. So place your wrists together, the fingers pointing outward and the elbows close together as much as possible. And if this is not possible, you can keep a little gap between the wrists and bend back. So bending back as much as possible and hold it there for a couple of seconds.
Just make sure to bend without bending the knees, keeping the legs straight and pushing the pelvis outward. And gently come up. First the chest goes up and then the head comes up, rotating the neck back to normalcy. Now that our back is active and warmed up, let's come down to sitting on the mat in Dandasana. So sitting in Dandasana, hands beside the hips and the toe tips pointed towards your trunk. Now reclining back and resting your elbow right below your shoulders such that your upper arm is forming 90 degree with the mat. Reclining back, take the head slightly back to come to Matsyasana or the fish pose. In fact, this is the Ardha Matsyasana. We're halfway through the fish pose. Gently throwing the head back, the chest comes up as you use your forearms to push the mat. Now palms facing down on the mat, slide your hands lower such that the palms are below the hips. Get locked below the hips, that is, you're sitting on your palms, and try to bring the elbows even more closer together, right below your middle back. And now throw your head back, placing the crown of the head on the mat. This is the Matsyasana pose with the legs extended. And the chest comes up completely because you're using the forearms and pushing it on the mat. The Matsyasana helps with 100% respiration in the lungs. Now, if dropping the head back was difficult for you, then you can use a blanket or some pads to place it behind your head in advance, such that there's a certain heightened headrest to place the crown. And now, holding this posture for 5 counts and breathing normally, experiencing 100% of the lung volume being utilized. Have your toes pointed towards yourself. And now, in order to come out of this posture, we have 2 different ways that you could try. Release your hands from below your hips. Now bend your elbows to place the palms beside your ear, the fingers pointing towards your hips. Now pushing the palms, release the head, allowing it to come back to normalcy. Else, what you can also do is, to come out of Matsyasana, you can press your forearms and the elbows into the mat and then lift your upper back, neck and head up off the mat and rest it back down normally. And now for some simple variations using the arms, let's come back up to Ardha Matsyasana on the elbows. The palms are beside the hips. Drop the head down, opening up the chest, pushing the chest upward. And now bringing the arms in Namaskarasana. You can also intertwine the arms to come to the eagle posture or the Garudasana. And you can place your palms either on your chin or take the fingertips down towards the mat. Be sure to intertwine your hands the other way around, so releasing, and this time the left arm goes over the right. Again, intertangle the hands, the arms, and place it down either on the chin or push it down further, placing the fingertips on the mat. You can even have it slightly away from the face. Holding it here for you, release the arms, place it again beside the hips, and pushing the forearms and the elbows come out of the posture, bringing the head back to normalcy. Now resting in Shavasana or lying down on your back for a couple of seconds before we get on again to Ardha Matsyasana, coming up to do a few variations using the legs. Now place your palms below your hips and locking them. Pushing the elbows, chest comes upward, drop the head back, crown is rested. Now as you inhale, lift your right leg up to about 60 degrees. And as you exhale, drop it back down to the mat. Now with an inhalation, lift the left leg up to 60 degrees. And as you exhale, dropping it down back on the mat. Now gear up to lift both the legs up together. This requires considerable core strength. So you need to use your forearms as you inhale and lift both the legs up to about 60 degrees. Using the arms, pushing the palms into the mat. And exhale, dropping the legs down gradually. And now again, pushing the forearms to come out of the posture and release the head. And now relaxing, lying down on the back for a few seconds, mentally preparing for some intensive variations using both the arms and the legs. So let's come up to Ardha Matsya Asana. Press the elbows, the chest comes up, and drop the head back down. Now lock the head into the mat. Pushing the forearms using the core, mentally prepare yourself. Take a deep inhalation to lift both the legs up, as well as lift your hands up parallel to the legs. Holding it here for a second and dropping them down as you exhale. Now a slight change to the same variation. We'll lift the legs and the hands up parallelly, and you could even bring the palms together for greater stability. So pushing the palms together helps hold the posture for a little longer. Exhale, come down, or use your palms beside your ear to come out of the posture. Releasing and lying down on the back again. Take a breather here for a couple of seconds. Or you could even try resting on your stomach in Makarasana. So for this, place your forearms together below your chin, one palm on top of the other and your cheek placed on the palms. Also the legs, the heels are facing each other and the toes are pointed away from each other. This is the crocodile pose or the Makarasana. Rest here for a couple of seconds before we get doing the other variations which are slightly more challenging. Now turning to one side, using your arm as a pillow and come up to sting. So let's sit in Sukhasana in order to get into the Padmasana or the lotus pose. Now this is definitely an advanced asana, so I would recommend you do this only if your body allows you to. For this, you need to bring your right heel on the left hip bone. And you need to rotate your calf such that the lower part of the calf or the fat or the muscle is rotated outward and upward. Then take your heel towards the hip bone. And now the same with your left leg. Pull it up to take the left heel towards the right hip bone or the pelvis bone. Also rotating the calf of the left leg and then placing your heel. Now this is the Padmasana or the lotus pose, which is the most desirable pose for meditation. It also has a certain spiritual significance. So now let's turn the body and try to come towards the top of the mat. I will attempt to do the Matsyasana while in the Padmasana. So recline back, placing your elbows down below your shoulders. The hands are beside the hips. And now throwing your head back such that your crown rests on the mat. Now you're in the Padma Matsyasana. And keep pushing your thighs down in case they are coming up. You can also hold your toes using your fingers and push the elbows down for a variation. Hold the posture for a couple of seconds. And now releasing the arms. You could also hold a mudra with your hands, such as the chin mudra, and extend your arms straight out, placing it on the thighs and pushing the thighs down again into the mat. Hold this variation. And now for another variation, you can place your hands beside your hips along the thighs and lift up the thighs such that your entire body is rested on the hips and the crown of the head. Exhale as you release this posture. And now pushing the forearms, lifting the head up to come out of the Matsya. Come up to sitting and release the legs off the Padmasana. Come to lying down on the mat again in preparation for our next asana, which is the Setu Bandhasana or the bridge pose. For a deeper back bend, particularly engaging the lower back. Bend both the knees, bringing the heels close to the hips. Raise your arms upward above the head. You can even interlock your arms, holding the elbows. Now pushing your full feet into the mat, lift your hips off the mat as well as the upper back. Holding this posture with your hips, thighs and the back off the floor. And exhaling, coming down. Next, place your hands beside your hips. And now pressing your hands and the feet into the mat, lift the hips and the back of the mat to come to the bridge pose, and holding it here, the Setu Bandhasana or the bridge pose. And if this is uncomfortable for you, then you can grab hold of a brick and place it on your sacrum or your tailbone and not on the lower back. Place the brick, support your back on the brick and then extend the arms out towards the ankles. And now if a brick placed vertically is also uncomfortable for you, then you can use two bricks that are placed horizontally, one on top of the other, lowering the height and then resting your hip on the bricks. So as a beginner, you can just try this variation, holding this for a couple of minutes each day until your spine becomes a little bit more flexible and achieves its natural curvature. This also serves as a nice restorative asana for those who have lower backache. And now placing the bricks aside for our next variation. In this, we raise our hips and back off the floor and come up on our elbows using your palms as a stand for your back. So as you can see, I'm supporting my lumbar sacral region with my wrists, which now bear a majority of the body weight. And now inhaling, bring your right knee towards yourself, bending the leg and coming up on the left toe, straightening out the right leg up towards the ceiling. And hold this posture, pulling the leg forward, the toes right above your face for an extended stretch. Releasing the leg, bending it and placing it down on the mat. Let's get doing this on the left side. So bending the left leg and straightening it out towards the ceiling. The right leg comes up on the toes. And releasing as you exhale, bring both the feet back on the mat. Let's repeat this. The right leg again stretches up, pull it up towards yourself. Hold this posture and release. And again on the left side, bend the knee, straighten out the leg. come up on the toes. Pull it towards yourself. The gaze is on your toes. Hold it here and release as you exhale. Now coming out of the posture, releasing one hand at a time, placing it along your ankles, and rest the hip and the back down on the mat. Now for our next variation, bring the heels really close to the hip, as close as you possibly can, because we're going to hold on to the ankles. Using this, lift up the hip. Now with this, we're able to press the arms into the mat and get a greater curvature, pushing the chin towards the chest and raising the abdomen towards the ceiling. Dropping down the hips and the back as you exhale. Now, if that was too much of body weight for your back to take, then we could use the bricks and do the variations of lifting the legs up one by one. So place the brick again below your sacral region, that is below your tailbone, and extending your arms out along the ankles. Now inhale, raise your right leg up, and it need not be perpendicular to the floor, but it can just be at about 60 degrees or even almost parallel to the mat, whatever is easy for you, and bring it back down. Let's repeat the same with the left leg. It goes up to about 60 degrees as you inhale. Drop it down if that's uncomfortable, and bring it back on the mat as you exhale. Place the brick aside for the next variation. Now just a slight change, but this one requires a lot more strength. So the hands are still on the mat along the ankles, and now we do the leg lifts. So without using the wrists as a stand or using the brick. So your back needs to lift the entire weight of the body. Exhaling, bring the leg down, and inhaling, bring the left leg up perpendicular to the mat. Come up on the toes of your right leg, and as an experiment, place your hands again as a stand, and notice how that shifts the weight of the body from the back to the wrists. Exhaling, bring the left leg down and release the hips. Now stretching the legs out for a few seconds of Shavasana. So you can have your feet slightly apart, the palms facing the ceiling, and notice the flow of energy in the back as you enjoy the sweet pain from the stretch. Bring your knees together towards your chest for a complementary posture. Using your hands to pull your knees towards your chest, and if possible, hold on to your big toes with your hands and lift them up to come into the happy baby posture. Now you can roll back and forth and have a nice bright smile on your face, reviving some childhood memories. Now try and bring the knees towards the underarm as much as possible to release the thighs, the calves, and the lower back of any tension. It also massages the upper back, middle, and lower back alike. Now gripping the toes more firmly, try to straighten the legs as much as possible. Straighten the legs and then bend the knees. You can just do it as much as possible. So even if your legs don't completely straighten, and if that's too difficult, then you can hold on to your calves and attempt the same. Now hugging on to your knees more tightly, bringing the heels towards the hips, you can roll from side to side. So giving the back muscles, the sides of the back, a good massage. And then also rock back and forth, and with momentum, attempt to come up to sitting. I hope you enjoyed today's backbend session. It's goodbye from me and Shira.